What's up, y'all? Um, I just really been thinking about white supremacy and oppression and that sort of stuff. And I want to point out that if you look at oppression historically everywhere, and specifically the United States, but think about oppression. Who enforces the oppression? The oppressor. Who, like, if there is systemic racism, who enforced it? It wasn't just white people. It was the government, right? When slaves were finally freed in America, what did they do? The government, you could say white people, but there's white people in government. They made laws to basically still punish and oppress black people. Now, it wasn't just white people, because after all, who freed the slaves? It was white people. So you can't just put it on white people. You could say racist white people, but what did they use? They used the government. And what y'all don't realize is that someone can hate you, someone can dislike you, someone can want to take advantage of you. But in order for there to be full-blown oppression, it needs the backing of the government. The government is the one who enforces all the oppression. Jim Crow laws and all of that stuff. Like, okay, people can do whatever they want. They can try to do whatever they want, but you can fight against them until the government gets involved and punishes you for fighting against them. So what people need to focus on more is, instead of worrying about color, you need to be worrying about government, because like I said, the government is the one who enforces everything. Now, what politicians is seeking to extend government control over your life, government power over your life? Now, if you're a person that believes every white person is racist, if you're a person that believes most white people are racist, if you believe in systemic racism, you should be worried. This is how you should be thinking. I don't believe in those things. I don't care about those things. But I'm having to point it out to you who argue about racism all the time. When you have politicians who present policies that will increase government control over your life, and you're a person who believes that the government is oppressive, then logically you should not vote for any candidate who pushes that. But all you see is free stuff. You think free, they're helping me. Let me tell you, you know who gets free stuff? People in jail. You know who have the most government support in terms of shelter and food? It's people in prison. And safety, quote unquote safety, it's people in prison. They're the most guaranteed people to have a shelter, to have food. They have medical care that they don't have to pay for. Like, they have all that free stuff. So you wouldn't say that they're better off. You might say, oh, that's different. Look, it's an extreme form. It's an extreme form, and every inmate in there gets the same thing. They get the same clothes. They're at least supposed to get the same treatment. That's literally what you're asking for in socialism, right? Look at how that turns out. Like, that's not how it goes. You look at every instance where there's a dictator or there's a group of people who, you look at every place where the government is like stronger than the United States government, like where the government is more restrictive. And you look at the quality of the life of those people. And you look at America, where you may believe it's racist and all of that, but we have so much freedom here and so many opportunities for poor people to become wealthy because of our capitalist society. And just compare that to anywhere else in the world. You have places that you have countries that have black people in power, and their people are struggling because it's not a race issue. It's a power issue. And the people, when you give people unlimited power or unlimited control over their people, they take advantage of them. That's just how it goes. I don't even know how to understand. I don't know how to explain it any further. But if you really feel like the government is, if you believe that you are being systemically oppressed, Why would you vote for politicians who want to increase government control? You got to realize that when Hitler rose to power, when a lot of these dictators in history rose to power, they did so in a guise of social justice. They didn't run on, vote for me, I'm going to punish everybody. No, they said, I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to free you. Someone else is the bad guy. Hitler, literally, if you look at like what the Democrats push and what Hitler pushed, it's like almost the same thing, minus the nationalism. But, free school, healthcare, free college, abortion, all that stuff. Like Hitler presented all that stuff, and he turned out to be evil. Giving people stuff, or so-called giving people stuff, doesn't make them automatically better. Pedophiles give kids candy. Like, we know that. I don't really, that's probably the best example I can think of. We all know somebody who's a user or a manipulator who will give you something in order to hold that over your head. Loan sharks give people stuff, don't they? But look at what happens. So stop being so caught up in emotions and actually think about the policies that are being presented and how they will play out in real life. Instead of being in your darn feelings and you so caught up in race and stuff, you're not even comprehending the implications of what people put in front of you. For how many, for how long? The whole throughout Trump's presidency and before he became president, all you heard was fear-mongering. He's going to do this. He's going to do this. Black people are going to be getting lynched in the streets. It's going to be open season, blah, 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 blah. None of that's happened. But they still push that narrative, and you'll still believe him. Yeah, he's racist and he's evil and we got to get him out of here. The people that told you that, they told you that, and nothing happened. He didn't do any of that. If anything, things are getting better. But the people who are telling you that are the ones that are saying improve. They're the ones that are saying like they want more government control. They want you to have less freedom. So the whole time they're telling you, look, that's the monster, that's the monster. But they're the ones that want to implement things that can be used against you far more than anything Trump has ever done. So get out of your feelings and think about this policy. It may sound good. It may sound interesting. How would that affect everyone? How would it affect me? What are the implications of it? You can't just make policies based off what you think sounds good at the time. You can't just vote for people just because they're black. This world is full of black leaders who are corrupt. You can't just vote for people just because they're a Democrat, just because they're a Republican. You got to go by what they're actually presenting and how their ideas are going to affect everybody. It's just common sense.